Yo, what's up, Beatbox? It's your boy Stitch back again, but this time with the first solo battle of GBB25. We have Codfish from Australia and Kaji from Japan. Now, I remember this battle very, very well. I mean, it's the first battle and it was one heck of an opening battle. I'll tell you right now, these two guys did an amazing job for an opening battle, like literally. So yeah, let's get right into this one. Join! Let's go. Fire intro. Let's go.
All right. Right here live and direct. GBB25 in Tokyo. Are you ready, crowd? We have the top 8. Codfish versus Kaji. Kaji won the coin toss. Told Codfish to go first. I'm going to go with the original way. I say the 3. Y'all say the 2 and the 1. Crowd in 3.
Yeah, guys, missing man.
There we go.
It's been a paradise. It's been a paradise. It's been a paradise. This sound bring it alive to
Oh, that was nasty. Oh, wait, hold on. No. Nah, we gotta talk about that. Nah, that is so interesting. In the video, Codfish sounds amazing. Like amazing, but live, very soft. And his sounds were not full at all. Like his throat bass, vibration bass, drums, everything not full, right? And I know that I'm not delusional because I was in the artist section with other pro beatboxers and they were saying the same thing. So this is a very interesting thing, yeah? Look at River's reaction. For River, this hit so well, this nasal bass thing, it hit so well, which means that I was right about what I said recently in one of my videos or live streams. I can't remember if it was a video or live stream, but I said this. I said that I believe that what we heard in the crowd or in the artist section is completely different from what the judges heard in the judges stand. Now, why do I think this? You see, when I listened to Codfish's elimination, he was not loud, right? He was pretty soft, very inconsistent. His lip roll had no bass. Can you imagine that? A lip roll with no bass, right? He was not full at all, which means that his bass sounds were not fat at all. And then I watched Dilo's reaction video to Codfish's elim, and Dilo said that Codfish was super fat live. And it got me thinking it's either one of two possibilities. Either one, Dilo is lying, which I know he's not lying, because Dilo is a pretty honest guy. If you sound like whack, he's going to say you're whack, right? So it led me to the second thought. And the second thought I had was, maybe the judges had a different sound. You see, before this, I thought that I was hearing the exact same thing that the judges were hearing. Because literally in the artist section, I was standing on the far left and on this side was the judges. So I was literally right next to the judges. So I thought I heard the exact same thing that the judges heard. But what if they didn't hear the same thing? Because hear me out, the judges were standing roughly in the same area as me, but they were sitting on an elevated area. So because their seats were higher, maybe the sound was perceived differently at that height. Because a few people that sat on the top of the venue said that the sound was great and people sounded fat and all that kind of stuff. So maybe the judges did have a different sound compared to us in the crowd or the artist section. Because this part that Codfish does with like the nasal bass, I'm gonna be real, it sounded so tiny live. Like it did not even have 1% of impact. It was like so tiny. And then here you have River giving a stanked face, which most probably confirms my theory that the judges' seats that were elevated up there, they heard a different sound compared to what we heard in the audience, which is why most people in the audience, even people in the front row, did not think that Codfish was going to pass. Even us in the back, we did not think Codfish was going to pass their limbs. But from the judge's seat, maybe it did sound fat. Maybe it actually did sound fat. And I feel like this reaction of River kind of confirms it. Because like I said, this part over here that Codfish is doing, This bass, I can't do it. I can't do it. I suck. That was so bad. Right? But this bass he did, it sounded so tiny and like it had 0% impact. It felt like somebody recorded the sound in Ableton and then just turned the volume down by like 50-60%. That's how tiny it was, all right? And then here you have River giving a stank face. So I truly believe now that the judges had a different sound compared to us in the audience. Very nice save there. Oh. Ooh, what a sick outro.
Switch.
His BMG snare is so fat.
Put your red bass floor. Put your hands in it more.
What the hell is that? So I feel like he's doing like a like that. Well, like, so like, oh, that's a sick sound. So like, instead of the typical way that Hiss did it in the past where he would do, and then he combines it with a zipper, like, this time he's doing it like at the same time. So instead of, it's, but like through the middle, so it's, wow, but how is he doing it so impactful? Because I remember live, this was insane. I didn't even know what he was doing live, because live the sound gets muffled with all the sub and all that. But here you can hear what he's doing and I'm like, oh, well, how is he doing it so like so loud and fat? That's crazy. Woo! That was sick. Very Kaji over here. Okay, I know Codfish is going to do an insane counter here because I remember it. All right. Live, it was so clear that Kaji won the first round. I'm going to be honest, because like Codfish was just insanely soft live, all right? Like it was so obvious that Kaji won the first round. But in this video, like from the audio I'm hearing in the video, I vote for Codfish round one. Honestly speaking, like if I was not at GBB25 live, if I was not there, I would probably think that Codfish 100% took this round. Because from this video, I like what Codfish did more. He sounded better, less sloppy. And I know Kaji has a style that is meant to be sloppy, but like sometimes it's too sloppy for me, you know? And Codfish just sounded better. He messed up, but then he saved it, so that's like plus points. You know, I like Codfish's round better here than Kaji, to be honest. So yeah, this is pretty interesting because in this video, I feel like Codfish definitely won the first round, in my opinion at least. But live, 100% Kaji. Like 100% Kaji. Let's go.
They bring me. It's easy, bro.
The way he just went, it's easy, bro. Like, bro, the aura, like just him saying it in throat bass, like the amount of aura he has for saying is like, oh my god, that was actually so badass, bro.
They bring me. It's easy, bro. You never break me. Burn through the daily, my heart drown, chisel away.
So in somewhere in my live streams, I said that in the battle versus Kaji, when Codfish was doing a build up with throat bass and a PF snare, you couldn't really hear his PF snare at all. Like you really couldn't hear his PF snare sometimes. This was the moment I was talking about. Like you really couldn't hear a PF snare sometimes. But in the video, you can hear it perfectly well.
Break me.
Okay, this is such a pro gamer move because I'm gonna be real, like his throat bass was not translating well on this system, right? At least compared to someone like Wing. When Wing was doing his throat bass, it came out very well and stuff like this. But for Codfish, it just wasn't translating well, right? So if you notice at the first drop, the crowd went nuts. And then immediately after that, they just went silent because like the drop was not translating because his bass was not coming through, right? And then to make things worse, he was considerably softer than Kaji. And then he does this. So I don't know if this was planned, or maybe if it wasn't planned, in that moment he was like, shit, my bass is not translating well. I gotta go switch to like something else that hits harder. And he does that. It's like the perfect, like maybe he planned it, but if he didn't plan it, it's like such a smart move, you know? Like it's so smart, so good.
Break me.
Holy shit. Oh, that is so difficult to do. Yeah, you can see even D-Lo is trying to do it like that. It's hard, like to do that. Okay, easy, but like to go. It's hard, bro. And like what? How long did he do it for? That's crazy. Whoa! Oh, it sounds terrible when I do it. Wow, that is hard, bro. Woo. Okay, you know what? I gotta say something, right? You know what? Sometimes you gotta admit when you might be wrong. And in this case, I might be wrong. All right, I'm gonna admit this. I might be wrong. Codfish sounds amazing in the video, right? And if my theory is right, that the judges had a different sound compared to us in the audience section or us in the artist section, it means that for the judges at least, Codfish sounded really full, fat, and loud possibly, right? If I was a judge and I heard this Codfish, if I heard the Codfish that I heard in the Codfish elimination video, right? I probably would have passed him into the top 8 as well because he sounds fat. He sounds fat, full, complete, everything, honestly speaking. So yeah, if my theory is right, the judges had a different sound from where they were sitting at, and from where they were sitting at, the sound was more full, and you know, Codfish sounded really fat and all that, which also probably explains why they thought someone like me didn't make many mistakes, or as D-Lo said, I was practically flawless, right? Because, you know, maybe they had a different sound, right? So if they really had a different sound, and that's what they genuinely heard, I can understand why Codfish passed into the top 8 now. Honestly speaking, I still stand by what I said. From where I was standing in the crowd area and the artist area, Codfish honestly should not 100% pass at all. Like, no way. But if my theory is right, if the judges had a different sound, and what D-Lo was saying, you know, like with Codfish sounding fat live and all that, if that's true, and I think it's true because D-Lo doesn't lie about this kind of stuff. Why would he lie, right? Then I can understand. I understand now. Now I understand why Codfish passed into the top 8, right? But however, if the judges were sitting where I was sitting and they passed Codfish, then I would have a problem. 100% I would have a problem. But now I understand. So big up to Codfish, and my bad for noticing it too late. Ooh, nice. Nice control. Oh! I'm sorry, Codfish is just so funny, man. Like, what the... like, honestly speaking, I'm going to be honest. I didn't talk much with Codfish in GBB25. Like, if I'm being really honest, I saw him multiple times, but I didn't talk to him because, like, even though I've been to GBB, like 3 times now, when I saw Codfish, a part of me was like, oh my God, it's Codfish. Like, I didn't say it, but in my head, I was like, oh my God, it's Codfish. And I was, like, so nervous to go up and talk to him. Like generally, you know? So, like... I don't know him well enough. I've only talked to him once. I was like, yo, my name is Stitch. Nice to meet you. And then he was like, yeah, I know. which for me, I was like, oh my gosh, Codfish knows who I am, right? But like, yeah, so I don't know him personally. But you see a video of him like this, like, I don't think you can hate the guy. I'm sorry, but that is so funny, bro. Nice.
Who's the most yotoko?
Time!
Nice. Nice.
Yotoko.
Okay. In the video, I'm not a fan of Kaji's rounds. I think like the whistle drop was insane, and you saw me, I was going nuts. The whistle drop is in fact insane. All right. But everything else, I'm not a fan. I'm going to be honest. I am not a fan. Like in video, I'm generally not a fan of these 2 rounds except for the whistle drop. Codfish, on the other hand, I loved both of his rounds. And the end of his second round, he had some slip-ups there, you know, but I think it balances out. The slip-ups balance out because Kaji in general is just very messy, right? And it's part of his style, but like in a competition, how much messiness can you ignore, right? Even like a lot of people in the comments like to tell me, oh, but Dilo said that context matters. Yes, context matters, but at the end of the day, the most important context is this is a competition. Right? You can't just say, oh, I'm messy, but you should not care that I'm messy because it's my style. Like, nah, like it's a competition. You can be messy to a certain extent, but how messy can you be? You know, like how much messiness can I as an individual ignore? I as a judge ignore, you know? And in this video, I can hear a lot of messiness. And that's why Codfish's mistakes don't really matter so much, because Kaji is like messy to a certain degree where it matches Codfish's mistakes as well. Live, it was different. Live, because of the sound system and all the kind of subs and all that kind of stuff, you can't really hear certain details in people's beatboxings, right? Because certain details don't translate well on the sound system, right? But details aren't the only thing that don't translate well on the sound system sometimes. Sometimes mistakes don't translate well on the sound systems, or in this case, messiness doesn't translate well on the sound system so much. So compared to the video where you can hear a lot of Kaji messiness, live, you couldn't really hear it. So Over here, Codfish is already in a losing battle because we notice Codfish's mistakes more than Kaji's mistakes and messiness. So that's one. Number two, Codfish is also in a losing state because live Codfish, like I said, was just very, very soft and not impactful. I know the crowd is going nuts, but that's because Codfish is a good showman. He knows how to perform. But objectively, the beats itself were not fat, at least from where I'm standing. Maybe the judges had a different sound, like I said, and for the judges, it was fat, right? Because like we saw Reaver's reaction earlier, he was like digging what Codfish was doing, but for me it was like nah, right? So there was an insanely drastic difference in volume and fullness, at least from where I was standing and definitely from where the crowd was standing. Now let's talk about counters. Right, really, really effective counter. Live, it sounded really full and fat, and as you can see, the crowd was going nuts as well. Now, Codfish also had a counter, right?
They bring me. It's easy, bro.
In my personal opinion, if you just look at the beats only, like forget the crowd, forget the sound system, whatever. If you look at the beats, these two counters, Codfish counter, Kaji counter, I feel that Codfish's counter was just way better, right? Because there's layers to it, right? Kaji just did the hey with throat bass, but like Codfish, there's layers to it. There was like a nice little structure, nice impact moment as well. And overall, the structure, like I said, just had more layers. Overall, it was a better counter, like a way better counter. But live, like I said, it was very different. So judges here, when they judge the counters, they have to look at it very objectively, right? Kaji did a counter, Codfish did a counter, but both of them got the crowd going with their counters. So that would mean that their counters are equally effective, right? No. This is where judges gotta be objective and they gotta be like, okay, both the crowd reacted to the counters. Put the crowd aside. How was the beatboxing live? And live, Kaji just sounded very full and loud, but Codfish didn't, right? So Codfish's counter worked not because the counter sounded amazing live. It worked because he performed it perfectly. So big difference here, all right? Kaji performed it amazingly as well. Codfish performed it amazingly as well. However, Kaji sounded loud and full, Codfish didn't. So overall, when we look at the details, when it comes to live, Kaji's counter was better than Codfish. But in video, I feel Codfish is better. So yeah, when you look at all these things live, you have to take it into account when you're judging. And honestly, in the video, I'm not a fan of Kaji stuff, like all this loud sound spam and all that. Not a fan of that. Just not my type of music. In the video, I honestly would have voted for Codfish in this video. For this battle, 100% I would vote for Codfish. But live, you have to think about impact and how things translate to the system. And overall, Kaji was just insanely way better than Codfish. Okay, it pains me to say this. Like genuinely, it pains me to say this because if I'm being honest, I don't like the current meta of beatboxing. Like there has always been different metas in beatboxing. We had the musicality era, we had the technicality meta era and all that kind of stuff. We had the era where a lot of people were using inward bass and stuff like this. All those eras of different metas were fine because at the end of the day, it was like, okay, we are still like putting out cool stuff, but now it's just like, we're gonna spam loud sounds and stuff, and that's kind of boring in my opinion. In this video, I'm gonna be real, Kaji sounded a little boring. But live, it didn't sound like that. Live, it sounded insane, and that's why live, I voted for Kaji. It was not even close. Kaji won this battle 100%. Let's see what the judges think.
Going to our judges, I say the 3, y'all say the 2, and the 1. Crowd, help me out in 3.
5-0, right? Yeah.
Give it up for Kaji!
That's what I thought about the battle. Codfish versus Kaji in GBB25. Really interesting video to watch because as you can see from my explanations, like my vote for video and my vote for live was like completely different, right? And I told you that it's both, like this battle sounded completely different live compared to video, right? So that's an interesting thing for people to think about, and it's an interesting thing for me to think about, right? Because live, I thought everyone, at least downstairs, had the same sound, but apparently it looks like the judges had a different sound, right? We can tell from the reactions that the judges definitely had a different sound compared to us, and that's a bit annoying. So Beatbox, if you're watching this, just an opinion. This is just a suggestion. You don't gotta do it because it's your competition. You can do whatever you want. But in the future, I would suggest you try your best to find a way to make sure that the judges and crowd are sitting in like very similar situations, because at least that way we in the audience can hear what the judges are hearing, right? And I think that's a cool thing to have when we hear the exact same thing that judges have, because when we don't, and then they make a decision that is insane and we're like, what the hell, are we hearing the same thing? And it turns out I don't think we are hearing the same thing. I don't think we and the judges are hearing the same thing, which is so annoying. It's so annoying. So yeah, just a suggestion. Future, try to make sure that the judges and audience are sitting in a similar area. That would be nice. Just my opinion though. But yeah, tell me what you guys think in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. Feels like nothing.